Thanks for staying with us right here on Sunrise as we continue this Friday morning. Not long ago, a march against false prophets was held, calling for stronger action to be taken against controversial churches. Joining us in the studio to take a close look at churches in this modern era is Solomon Izang Ashoms from a Christian publication, Parable Magazine. And you at home can be part of our discussion by leaving your comments on our Facebook page. You can give us a call also on 011-447-1742 or 447-1620. Good morning to you, Solomon, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure, thanks.
All right. I think my first question is, why are we finding ourselves in a situation where we're dealing with controversial churches in South Africa? What's going on? You're a publisher of a predominantly Christian magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why are things the way they are in South Africa currently?
I think it's just, first you have to look at it either from legal perspective or look at it from a theological perspective. We all, as Christians, talking to the Christian community now, because we're talking about churches, believe in the Bible, but sometimes our understanding of the Bible might just be different. When we read it, what do we see? And secondly, the other part is, recently there's just been a lot of independent churches, Pentecostal churches, charismatic churches, who believe in getting revelations, just like we saw the Seven Angels Church, where it's like, look, our revelation is where angels who were sent here to fight Satan. But in Matthew 24:24, it clearly states about, quite a lot about being aware of false prophets, being aware of false theology and false teaching that is coming. So we've seen a lot of that recently, and a lot of it is, I would say, is people becoming selfish, trying to enrich themselves in so many different ways, or getting revelations that is not really from God and executing it. And so you have quite a lot of the churches exhibiting and showing a lot of attributes of a cult. So when we go to churches, we have to be careful around it. There's quite a lot of that, and a mix of from abuse to control to manipulation to deception. How do we help?
But how do you identify that this is a cult? Like, what are the things that actually you need to know? Because those who are not in the church, simply say, they can say it's a cult and that's what it is. But and then those, some people are caught up in, they are in a church and they follow certain instruction, but are they asking themselves constantly, am I in a cult or am I not in a cult? How do I know that? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's like being under a government of a nation and you ask yourself, am I under democracy or dictatorship? If you are in a church and you're trying to understand, is it a cult? When I go into a church, I try to be conscious of it. There are certain attributes of a cult. A cult is where the leader is so elevated, far above the people. So there's no sense of equality somehow. There are a certain group of people, elites in the church, that feel or that project an image, we are better than you. Spiritually, if you want to get to God, you have to come through us. But is that what Scripture says? So whatever you see, you bring it to Scriptures. And also, are you forced to do certain things? There are churches that will tell you you're not allowed to marry somebody from another church. You're not allowed to visit another church. You're not supposed to listen to another speaker, another teacher from another church. If you go to their bookstore, all the materials in the bookstore is just their bookstore. If the pastor is having a birthday or the prophet or the bishop, everybody needs to give money. They are forced to give money. You're forced to contribute. You're asked who you should get married to and who you shouldn't get married to. I was speaking to some guys yesterday, some church in downtown. Actually, quite a lot of couples that were taught, no, leave your wife or leave your husband. Now, you're taking my rights away from me to make a decision on whether I should leave my wife or not. So it has moved from a place of just being a church to a cult. So from a place of just being a theology to a place of being legal. Because we got married in court, and now you are the one deciding for me. When I decided to get married to my wife or to my husband, you weren't there. But because you have an ulterior motive, you want me to. So you have to look at all these things. Okay. But sometimes we feel, well, he hears from God as a man of God, so we have to stay with it.
All right, let's take a caller on the line. We've got a caller on the line. Hello, Enoch.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
We are good, Enoch.
I'm fine.
You're gonna have to speak up and speak a little bit faster because we don't have time. Okay, he's got his TV on. I'm going to have to move on. All right. Now, the Civil Rights Commission has made it clear that it wants the religious sector to be regulated. And obviously the church is not in agreement with that.
Yeah, a lot of the church.
A lot of the church. Why is a lot of the church not in agreement with that?
I think there's a fear. I've been talking to pastors also. There's a fear that if we get regulated by the government, then it means that we're going to be told what to preach, what not to preach. And that would be controlling us. But we stay with Scripture, with the Bible. So we would not be given the freedom to preach what is in Scripture. And if you look at other countries, like China or Russia, Poland, where religion is basically regulated, a lot of it by the government, the voice of the church, the voice of Christians, the liberty and the freedom to be able to do what you want to do according to Scripture was taken away. But I agree partially with the CRA Rights Commission that needs to be regulated. But who would regulate it? Is the CRA Rights going to regulate it? Or are we going to form a committee or a group from churches, from leaders in churches, to be able to regulate and evaluate certain incidences and scandal in churches? That way, we're going to make sure that we agree on Scripture, and that's what we do. And
but that's going to be problematic because there's the traditional
different denominations,
different denominations and doctrines. So that's a bit challenging. Okay, let's take Sachaba from Bloemfontein. Hi, Sachaba.
Hello, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
I'm great. Yeah, no, actually I wanted to say, the Bible says we shall know them by their fruits. So we just take the fruit and then we can identify a fake pastor.
Yeah, but someone will tell you that, the revelations and the things that are happening is the fruits.
Yeah, someone would do that. Quite a lot of people have done that. Like the 7 angels churches. I mean, we're angels. We know you're humans, but you said you were angels. And somehow you would agree with them because that's his revelation. But then you go to Scripture. What does Scripture say about human beings being angels? Are there angels that are going to be sent from heaven to earth to fight Satan, because that's what they said they're here for? So the fruits are there. Is the fruits of pride. Any leader who is a pride, there's a tendency to be occultic.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break. Of course, we go to the news in Zulu, and then we come back and we continue. Stay with us.